was which, you would probably pick out the SG right away, because it's a different guitar. Like, is it night and day different? No, but you will hear it standing out. If I play the rhythm line on this and play the rhythm line on my 7 string, this stands out because, well, the pickups, they're very out front pickups. Again, makes it great for leads. The rosewood fingerboard, and then mahogany just has a lot of low end, but it has a lot of mid end aggression as well. They're very aggressive sounding guitars. So that's some of the things on that side. Now, as far as going the other way, you don't see a lot of country guys playing SGs because they kind of view it as a rock and roll guitar. Whatever. You'll see the odd blues guys, but you see, there's a thing in Nashville that I heard of. Like, a lot of guys in Nashville won't play SGs because they see them, like, you didn't spend enough. You got to play either a Strat, a Tele, or a Les Paul, because if you're playing an SG, it means you just didn't have enough money for the Les Paul. And it's like, I'll take the SG over the Les Paul any day for what I'm doing, right? Because, I'm more of a lead guitar player. If you're a blues guy, that neck pickup sounds great. Now, you might find the classic 57s a little more rock oriented, but if you play like, I've played VO, I've played every SG model that pretty much comes out from the SG Supreme. There's the SG Moderns. I haven't tried those yet, but I remember I tried a VOS. It was a 64 reissue VOS with the vibrola. Had burstbucker ones in it, and the neck pickup on that was glorious. There was an SG special that they made back in 2006 with the backwing pickguard and P90s. If you're a blues guy, like, you would love that. You would absolutely love that. The clean sounds were great, and I've never done it with this guitar, but with this guitar, I've actually had flat wound strings on there, jazz strings, and 10 to 48s, I think is what they were. And it handled them no problem. I, re-intonated for them, whatever. And the clean tones coming out of that guitar was angelic. It was unbelievable. So yeah, it's going to be a tighter sounding guitar than any Strat or Tele because of the shorter scale length. And one of the things that the shorter scale length, the 24 3/4, does is it puts more tension on your E, your B, and your G. So it makes it a tad bit harder to bend than the 25.5 scale. But you get really lively, snappy solos, right? Guitar solos. Like, everything cuts through. Every note just sounds like it's about to explode. But you lose out on the low end because the D's got perfect tension on it. The A's just about right, maybe a little on the low side, but the E's a little bit low because the scale length isn't long enough, but it's good enough. So when you have a 25.5-inch scale, you tend to get better low end. So, like, for example, my Jackson Flying V chugging away on the E chord Metallica style, it sounds heavier, where this sounds more angry and mid-ranged. So that's one of the trade-offs between a short scale guitar and long scale. But the SG is a very, very, very awesome guitar. I don't use those 4 knobs. I have no idea what they're for. I just leave them on 10 because I'm a rock guy. But you blues guys, you jazz guys that do a lot of blending, you start blending these pickups, you can get some really sweet tones. Think of Eric Clapton SG sounds. Extremely muddy, but really, really phenomenal. Think of Tony Iommi sounds. Think of Angus Young sounds. No problem. But think of, like, could you get a Periphery style sound on it? If you swapped out I bet you this guitar with the Scourge and the Scarlet in there, the Seymour Duncan Scourge and Scarlet, would sound incredible. I think it'd probably blow your mind, for modern sounds. So it depends. Maybe you want a P90 sound. You can get what they call P94s, and those things basically are P90 humbucker versions of P90s. So there's a lot you can do with these guitars. And of course, sometimes you can just buy the guitar, with the appropriate pickup in it. Like, if I get another SG at some point, which I can't say I won't, I could see me putting a Duncan Invader in the just think about how crazy that would sound. So yeah, you can go all over the map with an SG. So the guitar is misunderstood. A lot of people write these things off before they even, try them. But after they try them, they're always like, whoa, I didn't think it was going to be that good. The biggest complaint is the neck dive, right? And I got this great solution. It's fantastic. Take your hand and hang on to the neck. Yeah, it works great. It works for me every time. Stops the neck dive every time. For some people, it's a big major issue. If it is, it is. There's nothing I can say. For the rest of us, who cares? The only guys that I can think that really would have an issue with the neck dive on these things is like lead singers that come on, clap your hands, everybody. You know what I mean? Where he has to let go of the guitar. Then yeah, I could see that. But other than that, like, let's say you got to play the gig for 3 hours straight. Okay. Well, this guitar only weighs like 6.5, 7 pounds. You can play this thing all day. You know what I mean? Like I've played Les Pauls on stage for like 45 minutes, and it's like, throws my shoulder out, like, especially the older ones that were, 12, 13, 14. My Epiphone Les Paul, my 92 Epiphone Les Paul, that sucker was 13 pounds. Playing that sucker for 3 hours straight, yeah, my back felt it. And I was in my 20s. That's when, that was before. Now I'm in my 50s, you know what I mean? So this is a great guitar for, lightweight. Again, really tight sounding, which if you're a major riff guy, yeah, tight sounding is what you want. But yet it's a very out front guitar. It really excels like at the cleans. You start putting the thing is when it comes to like say chorus, flange, delay, reverbs. It depends on the pickups. Like if you're going to be using a lot of effects, then with the exception of like if you're thinking like almost like a YouTube type of sound, yeah, the classic 57s are fine. But if you're really focusing on the cleans, yeah, the burst buckers, ones, twos, and threes and the pros are a little bit closer to this. The burst bucker 61s, I don't know if they're just a replacement for the classic 57. I haven't tried them yet. But yeah, again, the P90s, all that, great for so you can pick an SG that goes more towards the clean, or if you want the more hard rock, or like the classic 57s and the 57 plus, that's probably the hottest SG pickups that have ever been in an SG from Gibson. I don't think Gibson has ever put the 500T or the Dirty Fingers or anything like that in the bridge, although it would be very, very cool. Except for I think the Tony Iommi, I think it was around 2002, 2005. There was a Tony Iommi version of the guitar with the crosses and all that. I never saw one. It was like $5,000, but it I think had the EMGs in it, or Tony Iommi signature pickups. And I know the Epiphone had the Tony Iommi signature pickups, which in hindsight I should have bought that guitar, because that guitar was really cool. Even though it was an Epiphone, it sounded great with those active pickups in there. So yeah, if you put active EMGs into this thing, I can imagine that'd be a pretty crazy sound for sure. It's just Gibson, they need to kind of, if they really want to sell more SGs, like the SG is their best selling guitar, but if they wanted to sell more of them, the one thing I would do is give more options on fingerboard, a lot more ebony fingerboards, and a lot more of the, if they don't want to use Seymour Duncan or EMG or whatever, just throw that 500T in that bridge position for people, and maybe black out the hardware. That would look cool, because there was an SG about 2 years ago. It was a limited run, kind of like this was. And it was all blacked out and actually looked really good. And right now they have like an SG standard that's in like a green. They have one with the Batwing pickguard and one with the small pickguard like this, which is considered the 61 pickguard. And that thing, if it had a Duncan Invader in it and it was all blacked out, or the 500T and it was all blacked out with an ebony fingerboard, that would be like a killer guitar for metal. But yeah, so you can get a lot of different sounds out of this. Uh, the problem is that every time somebody wants to research what, an SG, you got some guy playing a blues lick on it, like some sort of a pentatonic scale. So you don't really get to, most people don't really get to hear what these guitars can do. And only once in a while you catch a guy, who's in a, like a drop. There's one guy, younger lad, he's got Les Pauls, SGs, and he puts them in like drop B, drop C, that kind of stuff. And then you can say, oh, wow, you can actually get some pretty ballsy sounds out of these guitars. And recording wise, like I say, maybe you want something more in the middle of the road. Get yourself a Duncan JB, put a JB in the bridge, man. That'd be, and you can get a JB that'll look like that too. So yeah, you have a lot of options that you can go for the SG for sure. But yeah, as far as people misunderstanding SGs, yes, because a lot of people look at them and think they're a lesser guitar, not realizing that it's probably, well, they're definitely the best plain Gibsons you can get, is the SG. Like, the guys in Nashville that kind of turn their nose up at them, I'm like, are they insane? Are they insane? Do they not realize these things are gold? Now, the best Gibson ever made, bang for the buck, is probably that SG3. I mean, $1,560 Canadian, plus it came with the classic 57s, which again, probably the best flagship, the hottest, second hottest pickups, maybe not the second hottest, but one of the hottest pickups Gibson gives you. Has a classic 57 plus in the bridge, just a little bit hotter and a little bit darker than the regular 57. You got 3 of them, plus you got the hard shell case with this thing for $1,560. So tax and all about $1,800.